Hey ho, how do you do? I'm Kass, and welcome to my application. Despite having no real official content on YouTube yet, I am working on building a presence there as a Fakemon content creator. Despite being a month and a half late, sorry for that, I figured it would be a good time to still make my application. Two birds, one stone. On one hand, I get to apply for the coolest collab series ever made. On the other hand, I get to practice my editing skills in a very low-stakes environment. So, about me. I'm Kass Sassafrass. For the last year or so, I've drawn basically nothing but Fakemon, and have only gotten better in that time. Part of that improvement is thanks to meeting other artists in Discord servers, and I really treasure having that sort of community. Now, as part of this application, I am to make a whole new Fakemon today and show it off for you. Before we get into that, though, let's do the side dish. A lightning round of some of my favorites that I think highlight what I do best in Pokemon. First up, and one of my personal favorites, Barbosk, a ground steel type. Originally, I designed this as a starter Pokemon for my D&D themed region, though I moved it over to the pseudo-legendary slot, because it just fits that vibe a lot more. It's based on 40 Devils, the RPG Barbarian Berserker trope, and the Tarrasque, as depicted in both French folklore and the game Dungeons & Dragons. Next up, Nutribellis, a fire and ghost type. As part of a trio of Pokemon inspired by insects launched into space, Nutribellis represents the spiders of that bunch, as well as the concept of a dying star. Arborsaur, a grass rock type. Originally intended as a redesign to Meganium, I realized this changed far too much to just be a Meganium redesign and instead classified it as its own, alternate Bayleaf evolution. Rockatress, a poison dragon type Pokemon. Designed as part of Cat 34's art submissions that happened recently, our prompt was to make a poison dragon type that had to do with sound in its inspiration somewhat. So I based mine off cockatrices, punk rockers, and shoebills. Lastly, for a little fire round, Titanic. I really like making bug dragon types. I have several of them. Titanic here is specifically based on the Groot slang, as well as elephant beetles. But now it's time to cook. In the background of things, I've been working on a smaller Fakemon project, one exploring speculative evolution, what Pokemon might look like in the future, given time to adapt to new scenarios. One of the first Pokemon I knew I had to use was Beheeyem. Not because there's anything particularly interesting about it or how it could adapt, but I had to make one reference at least to CM Kozuman's All Tomorrows. And Beheeyem is about the perfect kind of Pokemon to just graft an Asteromorph body plan onto. Sprinkle in some Men in Black inspiration, the urban legend, not the movies, and you've got the recipe for an enigmatic new Pokemon. So here's a speed sketch. I mainly draw my designs traditional first, then tracing them over in digital on my iPad, doing whatever small fixes I have to anatomy or proportions onto digital. I made sure the design had some hallmark traits of the Asteromorph, the claw fingers specifically, as well as a wider face and a complete vestigiality when it comes to legs. The colors are what locks in the Men in Black aesthetic. MIB, the post-Beast Pokemon. Beheeyem, brought to the Alola region from elsewhere, were constantly reported to act upset or paranoid. At the time, scientists explained this as well as electromagnetic hotspots being a bother, but it wasn't until all Beheeyem in the region spontaneously disappeared that science found out they were being drawn to ultra wormholes. Eons later, the descendants of these Beheeyem descend on Alola with unknown goals. MIB share a psychic link with all others of their species, coordinating large-scale assaults on specific Pokemon species for no known reason. I don't know how I'm supposed to end a video like this. Bye-bye!